Another one of the best matchups that we have in an absolutely loaded slate on week 5 is LSU, number 3 in the country, undefeated, 4-0, 1-0 in the SEC, is going on to another undefeated team, both nationally and in the SEC, Ole Miss, coming in at 13th at 4-0, 2-0 in the SEC after a big win over Tulane. And, you know, David, it's so much fun being able to go from week to week and see how narratives change.
Mm-hmm.
After the first week, if you would have told me, all right, and then even after 2 weeks, after Ole Miss went and played Kentucky, that Ole Miss would be only be a 1.5 point favorite over LSU at home, I would have thought you were crazy.
Yeah.
But that's where we are. And a lot of that has to do, I think, with the emergence of Trinidad Chambliss because of the injury to Austin Simmons. Now, and look, LSU done what they needed to do, right? Handled Southeast Louisiana. It wasn't sexy against La Tech, but they won, found ways to beat Florida, obviously beat Clemson. We know what's happened with Clemson. This is a hard game to bet, first off. Like I said, it's a 1.5 point spread. The over-under is 54.5. But do you feel like Trinidad Chambliss is the guy and has to be the guy for Ole Miss in this game versus LSU? He just got to be, right?
Yeah, he has to be. And look, like I said in our recap, I hate it for guys like Austin Simmons, this guy who came in relief of Jackson Dart a year ago and played well in that Georgia game. You hate when a guy gets hurt, and then that's the reason. It's not even his play on the field. But like I said, sometimes Wally Pipp sits out a game, and the guy who replaces you is Lou Gehrig. Is Trinidad Chambliss that? I don't know yet. And of course, on the flip side of this, if he goes in and plays poorly against the really first truly great test he gets with LSU coming to town, that could create a really awkward situation in the locker room. But it's too early. We don't even know if Austin Simmons could play. It may be taken out of Lane Kiffin's hand. And if he is ready to go, the guy who's played the last 2 weeks, who's put up these sorts of numbers and adds this element in the run game, you got to think that he's going to be your starting quarterback when you host LSU. But I agree with everything that you said on narratives and data points changing from week to week, because before the season we thought, hey, here's a couple SEC teams who are going to take a small step back, not be terrible, but take a small step back. Ole Miss, Missouri, Tennessee. Well, those three programs are 11-1 so far this year, almost 12-0 if they make a field goal at the end of the game for Tennessee. So right now, as we sit here, Ole Miss -1.5 at home, hosting LSU, who beat Clemson on the road to start the year.
Yeah. And I mean, you got Lane Kiffin offensively going up against Blake Baker, who we've seen the absolute resurgence of LSU on defense. And again, no disrespect to Tulane or anybody else that Ole Miss has played before this. This is a different flavor ice cream. This is 100% different flavor because you've got guys on the LSU side that can run. They're physical. Blake does such a good job of showing you one thing, giving you another, trying to flush the quarterback to where he wants him to go. I think that's something that Blake does a really good job of as well, and he's going to have to do that with the way Chambliss can play. But is it just as simple, Cone, as it comes down to the run game?
Yes.
Because for LSU, while the offense hasn't been as sexy as it's been in the past, it does feel a little bit more balanced. And you do feel like with Caden Durham, you can run the ball. And this LSU offensive line, I think, can get some push against Ole Miss's defensive front seven. But if they don't, can Garrett Nussmeier throw them to a win on the road against this Ole Miss defense that's good, but they're not what they were last year, I don't think.
Okay, great question. Does it come down to something as simple as the run game? I mean, technically the answer is no, because turnovers and turnovers specifically can offset like any stat in a game, but then also penalties, and you have any injuries, of course, could dictate the outcome of this game. But yes, that's what I'm looking at, because before the season started, we said, can LSU on offense? We had all sorts of questions about their defense. That question has been answered for the most part so far, going to be tested this weekend. But can LSU run the football effectively enough to be a balanced offense and not have to make Garrett Nussmeier be a 4,000+ yard passer this year? Well, so far they've rushed the football for over 100 yards in every game they played. Let's look at the flip side, because this is my biggest concern for Ole Miss. Ole Miss, you're giving up too many yards in the run game, period.
Yeah,
I mean, they've given up over 170 rush yards to every opponent they've played so far, and 221 to Arkansas, over 191 rush yards to Georgia State. Now, you won the game 63-7. I get that. You probably played a lot of guys in the second half testing out to see how they can perform and what holes they can fill. But to me, Ole Miss is giving up too many chunk yardage in the rush game. Can LSU take advantage of that? And if they can, that's going to open Garrett Nussmeier up for some easier throws off play action down the field.
No, without a doubt. And if you're looking at the way a game needs to go, you feel like the lower scoring game benefits LSU. You feel like the higher scoring game kind of benefits Ole Miss, especially, when you have one quarterback in Chambliss that can really run compared to Nussmeier, who I know is beat up. I'm not saying he's paraplegic, but he's not exactly going to go and do the 100 meters for the United States in the Olympics anytime soon. It's, again, you look at mistakes and the matchup predictor. If you look here, according to ESPN's analytics, right now, and I know it's Sunday, has Ole Miss at a 73.3% chance to win. Is LSU being disrespected because Clemson has just fallen off a cliff? Like, is that what it's turned? Because when I watch, like, now the narrative I hear about LSU does not fit the tape that I watch with LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this team is as talented as anybody out there. It's not their fault what has happened to Clemson since, right? But when I watch this team play and I watch them run around and I watch the weapons and I see that Nussmeier can get healthier and make this offense a little more dangerous, like I think this team is damn good. I think they deserve to be ranked where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are some legitimate concerns on the offensive side. I mean, Brian Kelly did the best he could to fight against that narrative at the press conference. Especially, I agree with his sentiment that, hey, our goal is to win the game. We did what it took that week to win the game. But yeah, of course, I mean, you can go in and you can nitpick their performance on third down. I'm a little bit more concerned with Garrett Nussmeier. Once or twice a game, he makes a throw that leaves me scratching my head, and that's just sort of look. He fits into the gunslinger category, and a gunslinger by definition is someone who thinks they can fit the football into every single hole and there's not anyone who's ever covered, and he'll make a play once or twice a game that puts the ball in harm's way. Can Ole Miss on defense take advantage of that? But yeah, I do think there is a little bit of recency bias because Ole Miss is exceeding expectations, and that means something to subjective viewers. And look, I mean, they're 4-0. They're 4-0. They're going to host LSU at home. That also is important. To me, if you're LSU, getting back to that run game, though, the more effectively you can run the football and chew that clock, who are you keeping off the field? You're keeping Ole Miss's offense off the field. And anytime you can keep Lane Kiffin from calling offensive plays, no matter who he runs out there at quarterback, because whoever he runs out there is going to have success. And that's a testament to him and his coaching ability. Keep that guy's offense off the field so he's not calling plays, long, sustained drives, and put him away when you're in the red zone.
Yeah, and then on the other side of that, if you're Pete Golding and you're Ole Miss, I mean, this is what makes it tough when LSU has the type of athletes that they have on the outside with Barry and Brown and then Aaron Anderson, obviously, and even Durham, what he can do catching the ball in the backfield and then the tight end room is that at first you just play it straight up, play an even box and say, all right, let's see if we can stop the run. And then instantly, if you can't, go ahead and adjust and try and heavy it up or try your movements, try your stunts, things like that to help out. Or do you just at the beginning say, you know what? We're just going to try and get LSU in a 3rd and 7, and we're going to load this thing up, and Caden Durham's not going to beat us, or we're not going to get beat the way we've kind of gotten beat. I know Ole Miss is undefeated, but kind of taken advantage of against the run. I mean, if you're out there calling defensive plays, I know what I would do. I would try and play you straight up first and just see if I can get away with it. I'd Scooby-Doo that thing. But if I couldn't, then I would go ahead and have that package ready or have those, schematically have answers to try and cause disruptions, which is risky, right? A run stunt's basically a blitz. Like a lot of times you're gap exchanging, you're doing extra things. How would you go about it?
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And that's the advantage you have for LSU with having an experienced quarterback. For whatever I said about, Garrett Nussmeier or once or twice a game put the ball in harm's way, the flip side of that is he's played a lot of football, the only returning 4,000-yard passer in the country. You can't just do any one thing against a guy like that because he will make you pay and he will beat you. Now, on the flip side of that, I don't think LSU can just do any one thing on defense, but Blake Baker has been so creative with these pressures and with the stunts that they're putting forth that you can get after Trinidad Chambliss, who hasn't played as much football, a little bit more aggressively than I say that the Ole Miss defense can.
See, that's, again, if it was me on the defensive side for LSU and I was Blake Baker, it seems that Chambliss really gets going and gets in a rhythm when he knows the scramble and the run is available. Like at any point in time, he can take off and make. This is where having Harold Perkins is like Weapon X.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's a spy, whether it's a pressure. Harold, there are not many guys that are going to outrun Harold or make Harold look less athletic than the person that he's trying to tackle. That's where that can really come in and make Chambliss have to make throws on 3rd and long. How many throws and he may be able to do it. I mean, the dude's done everything else since he's come in. He's looked amazing. So I'm not saying he can't do it, but if you're going to play the numbers, if you're going to play the odds, I would play a game of, okay, Trinidad Chambliss, beat me with your arm.
Mm-hmm.
Beat me with your arm. And I'm talking about throwing while on the move too. Not just because there's no way you're going to just keep this guy in the pocket the whole time, whether that's by design because Lane's going to move the pocket on sprint out or mid rolls, things like that. Or it's just play breaks down. You're rushing forward. He's able to slip out. How mature can you be to make Trinidad Chambliss beat you with his arm consistently? And then if he does, sometimes you just got to tip your cap. But golly, David, this LSU defense is confident, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And getting back to the Harold Perkins point, like when he wows me, it's because he either had his hand in the ground or he's coming off the edge and he's getting after the quarterback. I know he's not like a true edge guy or may not be that at the next level, but that's when he really wows me. I'll tell you what, something to pay attention to at home, though, is Lane Kiffin, man. He knows how to scheme people up. And there's been a couple times, even this year, that I've seen opposing offenses be able to take advantage of LSU in man coverage, let's say, motion to empty, get Harold Perkins out in a favorable matchup, which means he doesn't have his hand in the ground and he's not rushing the passer. How will Lane Kiffin scheme that up if he knows LSU is most likely going to be in man coverage, or if he can get a matchup that gets Harold Perkins far away from the box, which is where I think he's most effective?
No, I agree with you 100%. It just, again, with this athlete matchup with what Ole Miss has offensively, and not that LSU and Ole Miss don't have, athletes on the other side, but that's what I'm excited for, just the elite level athleticism that we're going to see when Ole Miss's offense is on the field compared to LSU's defense when they're on the field. That's what's going to make it great. It's an amazing slate. Again, we can go down the list. We already have some previews out. We have the full recap of last week. Already got our Georgia-Bama preview out. Is there anything I'm missing here, David, that you want to bring up?
No, I think this is going to be a great game. Just looking back the last couple of years, and you hit on it a little bit, this has turned into a fun little rivalry. Remember, 2 years ago in Oxford, you got Jaden Daniels, who goes on to win the Heisman Trophy. Was that a 55-49 game or something like that Ole Miss is able to pull out? Last year, you got a little bit different flavor of ice cream that LSU is able to edge out Ole Miss. Again, I think this is a really cool one that's going to keep going back and forth. I don't know yet, as I sit here right now, who I'm going to be taking, but that LSU defense looks like the type of unit that can travel. And if you want to go into other people's stadiums and come out with wins, you got to have that unit travel.
The teams that win the most ways. And you can win the most ways by making sure you subscribe to Crain & Company. We appreciate you guys joining us. Got a ton of content coming out. We know what time of year it is, so make sure you're locked in. Remember, without you, there is no us. And in the comments, let us know, who do you think is going to win this game? We're going to make our predictions on Wednesday for our big prediction show, so make sure you check that out. We appreciate you, and let's get it going.